Welcome to Season 2 of Team of Rivals NFL Football Podcast with Alex and Jackson, where we talk about the offseason and what happened during it. And today we'll be talking about the Super Bowl and some booms and busts of the 2025 NFL Combine. Hit the intro.
So, Alex, how'd the Super Bowl go?
At least Saquon didn't do anything. That's all I'm saying.
So, we haven't been able to recap the Super Bowl because we haven't filmed an episode in a while, but the Eagles completely destroyed the Chiefs. Jalen Hurts went off again in the Super Bowl. This time he won it, though. Had almost 300 total yards, at 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception. I don't really think that 1 interception mattered considering the game he had. Saquon got limited, as you said. But that's because they put their whole focus on him, allowing for Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown to each have a touchdown. I think Jahan Dotson should have had a touchdown, but he was short. And if the Eagles hadn't mastered the tush post, then I think Saquon would have also had a touchdown. On the Chiefs side of things, they got sacked 6 times. 2.5 of those, I think, came from, what's his name, Josh Sweat. And the other 2 came from Milton Williams. They had almost no rushing yards in the first half. Receiving, Xavier Worthy absolutely carried the Chiefs. I don't think he would have had that stats if that garbage time hadn't been given. I think he would have still had maybe 100 yards, but I don't think he would have had 157 and 2 touchdowns. He had to be frustrated after that loss. On the defensive side of things, a lot of sacks from the Eagles. They had 2 interceptions, one of them from Zach Bond and the other one from
Cooper DeJean is not a safety. He's just a corner who'll lock down your number one. DeJean is CB1.
As much as I hate the Eagles, I can't hate on that song. It's kind of a banger. But now let's shift gears over to the Combine, where we'll talk about the top 3 prospects we saw. So, you want to start, Jackson?
Yeah. So I'll start with who I thought was the top performer at the Combine. Kentucky cornerback Maxwell Hairston. I don't think he would have been anywhere near the first round before the Combine. I didn't even know who he was before the Combine. But, almost like Xavier Worthy last year. I don't think he would have went first round, but he ended up going first round because he showed off at the Combine. So, Maxwell Hairston ran the fastest 40 time among all players in the draft. He ran tied for, I think, the second best 10-yard split in the draft. He was the 4th among cornerbacks, so once again tied for second. His vertical was second among cornerbacks at a 39.5, which I think is really good. And for his broad jump, he was 3rd with a 10.9. So those were the only drills I think he competed in. But just in those 4 drills alone, he cranked top 5 in all of them, so he showed his athleticism.
Another top performer at the Combine was Landon Jackson, an edge rusher for Arkansas. He's 6'6" and weighs 264 pounds. And on his 40 time, he got a 4.68, which I think is pretty impressive for a 264-pound male. Then, for his vertical jump, it was 40.5 inches. Then broad jump, he got a 10-foot, 9-inch broad jump. I think these are all really good for his weight and height and his position. So I think he'd go pretty high in the draft.
And what I think the final, top, elite prospect at the Combine was, and there was a lot of other good ones, but Matt Golden showed out. He ran, I think, the fastest 40 by a receiver, but he also ran the second fastest in the Combine, only behind Maxwell Hairston. And he also ran, I think, the fastest 10-yard split among receivers at a 1.49. It was tied with Jalen Royals. And I think he also was tied for first in the entire Combine with a 1.49. So that also probably skyrocketed his draft stock because it showed that he's a really fast receiver and any team's looking for a deep threat, quick, agile receiver. I think Matthew Golden will be your guy. Now let's talk about the underachieving players at this combine. Alex, can you tell me more about that?
Of course, Jackson. First, we got Josh Kelly, who's a wide receiver for Texas Tech. He's 6'1" and weighs 168 pounds. He had a 4.740, a 33-inch vertical jump, a 10-foot 1-inch broad jump. I think these are really bad numbers for a wide receiver. He has a 61 average as his total score, but I think these are really bad numbers. Like, for a wide receiver, these need to be like his 40 needs to be in like lower than the 0.7s. His vert needs to be higher. Like the guy I was talking about earlier, Landon Jackson, he had higher numbers in every one of these categories, which is just bad because he's an edge rusher and this guy's a wide receiver.
Another underachieving player at this year's NFL Combine was wide receiver from Oregon, Tez Johnson. And he had a good year, but for his height and weight being the smallest guy at the Combine, even though he did perform pretty solid in other drills, but he was middle of the pack in his split and vertical, but his broad jump and 3-cone were all right. But in his 40, and especially in his 10-yard split, he should be running way faster, especially since he's one of the smallest prospects in this year's draft. He doesn't have as much weight to carry along as some of these edge rushers who also actually ran 40-yard dashes faster than him. He ended up running I think a 4.5, something like that. So it's underwhelming for his height and weight and how he should be running way faster. He's supposed to be one of the quicker guys in this year's draft. So it's definitely disappointing to see him underachieve in the dash and the split.
We saved the best for last. Isaiah Bond, 5'11", beast, 180 pounds. Isaiah Bond said he was going to run a 4.1, but he ended up running a 4.39. I'm not saying that's bad, but it's not the best for a wide receiver. And then his 10-yard split was a 1.51 seconds. His total score was a 75, which is good, but I don't think that's what the NFL's looking for. I think they're looking for a faster 40. I think he's might get drafted later if teams decide it, but I don't know. But we'll see.
Thanks again for watching the Team of Rivals Football Podcast with Alex and Jackson. So we're signing off. Make sure to check out our YouTube shorts, and we'll be posting more videos soon.